going on, guys? It's your boy Az, back here with another one. Now, today we're going to be talking about the Tiny Stature Big Problem upcoming event here that's coming up. And approximately we've got about 7 days and 7 hours. Initially, we knew about the event a couple days ago, so technically we've had about 9 days now to prepare ourselves. And usually these events run for about 14 days. So that means in total, we've got about 25 days of preparation. So that's going to be important. So keep that in the back pocket somewhere. And now let's quickly jump into the roster here so we can take a look here. Now, normally in any of these events, I mean, it's everyone's, everyone's goal to basically push for a 4 or a 5-star unlock. And as you guys will see there, I've got myself a 5-star Scream. And essentially the last campaign event, these were the kind of strategies and tips and tricks that I used to kind of get her as high as I can. And essentially it all comes down to a numbers game. So sit tight, and we're going to quickly crunch some numbers here. Now, specifically with a 4-star unlock, we're going to be assuming that you're going to be going for the full 4x50 power core refreshes. And that means essentially every day you're going to be running about 200 power cores per day, which is, for 14 days, that's going to eat up quite a bit. And occasionally, you also want to slap in some 100 refreshes as you're kind of approaching that finish line, depending on how your drops are. If you've gotten some pretty good drop rates, sometimes these 100 refreshes aren't needed. And essentially, you want to be able to gauge yourself moving forward. So in 14 days, usually with based on the previous events, we're just going to assume that this one's going to have the same approximation. It may or may not change depending on what Scopely decides. But 14 days, 200 cores, you're going to need at least 2,800 power cores prior to the event starting. So again, remember, this is as the event's going as well, so you don't need exactly 2,800 before the event starts, but you're getting power cores every day during that course of the event. And remember, if there's any 100 refreshes, obviously that 2,800 is just the minimum, and you're going to get, you're going to be adding more onto that if you spend more. So keep that in mind. Now, for a 5-star unlock, it gets a little bit more iffy, and I've had pretty good success in the past year by following this criteria. I've been able to do the 4x50 refreshes, which is obviously your best value for your buck. And then going forward, trying to do 4x100 refreshes as well, bringing the grand smack total to about 600 power cores every day. And as you're kind of approaching the finish line, and if your drop rates have been pretty sketch, then you might even have to throw in some 200 refreshes near the end of the ball game there. So make sure you guys keep that in mind. End is basically looking like 8,400 minimum. That's 14 days, which is times 600 of the cores that we're doing every day. And then occasionally, if you need to do the 200 near the end. For myself, when I was doing Scream, I was actually doing a few of the 200s because I was hoping maybe I could even get a 6-star Scream, but I didn't make it and I fell a bit short. Now, it's not all doom and gloom here. Let's actually take a look at how much generation of power cores we are getting every day. So daily objectives, you're going to be smashing about 50 per day, which is, a pretty okay rate, especially if you're a free-to-play player. And then arena, if you are placing in the top 250, you're going to get 100 cores. If you're placed in the 250 to the 500 range, you get about 75 cores, which is a still respectable amount. But again, just remember to crunch those numbers and kind of work out the math on your own. Assuming you're pushing for the high roller and save the world milestones as well, that will actually be approximately 75 cores every couple days. So assuming you're spending about $1 million in spending, so usually I hit about the 600 to 1 million. With Emma Frost, I'm actually pushing a little bit higher now, but for best value and for the amount of milestone that unlocks the power cores, you want to be aiming for the 1 million spending, which unlocks about 50 cores on the high roller, and then you get about 15 to the 25 every couple of days on Save the World, assuming you're doing the 1380 energy. And in that time with the 2 days, you usually get about a free energy refresh, so that way it doesn't dip into your cores as well, just so you guys are crunching the numbers correctly there. And again, that brings our total to about 25 days, which I bring back to you guys again, where we had about 9 days now where the event has been going on, and we got 7 days left. And now we've got, doing the math there, 50 times 50 plus 100 plus 75 times 25. You actually get 5,625 power cores, which is a pretty substantial amount. And again, this is going to get tweaked a bit. You get closer to about 5,000 cores if you're placed in the top 500 in Arena, and then if you're lower than the top 500, then it gets a little bit steeper. And then obviously just saving cores ahead of time before these events are the best way to do it. So again, 5,625 power cores. So again, let's recap that. At the 4-star rank, you get about 2,800 that you need. And then again, assuming you don't need to spend the extra 100 refreshes, you need 2,800 minimum. And then if you're going for the 5-star unlock, you need about 8,400 minimum, which is quite a bit more. And again, that's kind of where hoarding your power cores at the start and planning for future events, that's the way to do it. That's usually what I'm doing. We'll have a jump back into my game and show you guys some of the other stuff. But essentially, I actually place in the top 50 in the arena, and that brings your grand total to 8,125 cores. So that's where I've done my calculations, and I know where I can do the 4 times 50 and 4 times 100. And it doesn't really affect my power cores just because I consistently place in the top in the arena shards in my respective zones. So make sure you guys keep that in mind, all right, so now that we're back in the game here, as you guys will see, just most recently we had the Scream event, and I was able to get 5 stars and almost halfway there for the 6-star unlock there. And then I think prior to that we had, who did we have? Squirrel Girl? Let's have a look here. Squirrel Girl is farmable now too in the game, which is awesome. But as you guys will see there, I actually didn't, I wasn't able to 5-star her, but I still did the 4x 50. And then I did a couple 100s, but I didn't go as hard as I did in comparison with Scream. So really, you kind of just, you know, have to take your battles as you will, depending on which characters you're more interested in. For Stature, I'll probably do the 4x 50 and then maybe use a couple 100s. But for the most part, I think it also depends on how passionate you are for the characters. So anyways, we'll just quickly jump into the milestones here. And like I said, if you guys go for the 1 million, you'll get that extra 15 cores. But if you're not going for that extra 15, you can stop at the 650. And Save the World, same thing. If you're going for the 1380, you'll get the most cores out of it. But you know, if you're trying to do a free-to-play approach and you're not trying to use any refreshes, you'll still hit that 1380 with no problem, just because you get about almost 600 energy per day. And then if you're collecting all your energy, and then you get that free refresh, so that won't cost you anything, but it's up to you guys if you want to use it or not. Anyhow, we'll just quickly jump into the aspiring character traits here, and basically the characters we'll be kind of looking at to use for the event. And prior to the event, you want to make sure that during the event, you want to make sure that you're doing the hard difficulty, so that way you can get the most shards out of the event. And essentially, to do that, you want to make sure you can get those characters up. And I think right now there's not really a crazy amount of synergy, but definitely for sure there's a good mix of the power armor crew here. So probably a good little combo there between Ironheart, Falcon, and you got you've got Rescue as well. And yeah, it'll probably be some synergy there, but I'll probably stick with Scream and Anti-Venom since I've been spending lots of resources on those guys, and then probably throw in Scientist Supreme in there and Taskmaster, since Taskmaster brings a lot of stuns and he also brings blinds to the field as well. And probably Falcon just for that speed up, but we'll see how that goes. If you guys have a high-powered roster like myself, you probably don't need to do too much of the theory crafting for that. It's probably going to be pretty straightforward. But if you guys don't, just make sure you guys get those aspiring characters leveled up and ready to go for the event. While we're on that topic as well here, make sure you guys are saving your red star orbs. I haven't opened these up yet, but just make sure you guys are saving them, and then you're opening them up when they've got the increased 15% chance. That's the only time really you should be using your red star orbs, is during these types of events and character promotions. That's what I usually like to tell other players, and anytime that people are like always asking me, holy cow, why do you have so many red star orbs saved up? Well, because for these events. And now we've got Yellow Jacket, and we've also got Ghost coming as well. So you want to make sure you can save those red star orbs for those character promotions. No point in using them if there's no sort of extra benefit to yourself. So that's what you should be doing. As you guys will also see, I've got like 9,000 power cores. So like I said already, ahead of time, even if you're not, even if hopefully you guys have been saving up for the event. But yeah, the only time you should really be using your power cores is for the energy refreshes, right? So I'm talking about when you're trying to do the 4x 50 free refreshes. Or not free, I guess, but 4x 50 refreshes, and then it jumps up to 100. But yeah, that's the best value for your power cores. And other than that, I mean, really, the only other time I would be using them is for these campaign events, and that's kind of the most out of your buck. And the odd time where I've gotten pretty close with 5-starring characters, either on Blitz or 5-starring new characters like Anti-Venom. That's the only exception where I would have used the power cores on that, and assuming that I had lots saved up as well. So that's really the only best use of your power cores. Hopefully you guys aren't using it for other stuff. I know some people try to push on raids and they try to use it for the health refreshes and all that stuff, but yeah, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it's better used elsewhere. And I mean, for the most part, if you're doing raids, you can use it to heal up your characters as well, but for the most part, I mean, usually you should be okay, because you also get the health refreshes from the challenges and all that good stuff. So as you guys will see there, I'm pretty maxed out there, so I don't really need to do my power cores there. But yeah, so anyhow, the event's coming, guys. Save your power cores like crazy. We've got 7 days, 7 hours. Save them up like crazy. Make sure you guys are hoarding everything. Hoard your red stars. And for those aspiring characters that you are trying to focus on, make sure you can get them sort of leveled up and geared up for that event. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how she falls into the Ant-Man and Wasp teams. So that's going to be really interesting to see how that falls out. All right, guys, that's all I got for this one. Thank you for watching. And as always, guys, happy gaming.